Our two republics were founded in service of these ideals. In America, it is written into our founding documents as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In France, liberté absolutely égalité, fraternité. Our moral authority is derived from the fact that generations of our citizens have fought and bled to uphold these values in our nations and others. And that's why we can never sacrifice them for expedience sake. That's why I've ordered the closing of the detention center in Guantanamo Bay. That's why I can stand here today and say without equivocation or exception that the United States of America does not and will not torture. The second way that we can turn challenge into opportunity is through our persistence in the face of difficulty. In an age of instant gratification, it's tempting to believe that every problem can and should be solved in the span of a week. When these problems aren't solved, we conclude that our efforts to solve them must have been in vain. But that's not how progress is made. Progress is slow. It comes in fits and starts. Because we try and we fail and then we try something else. And when there are setbacks and disappointments, we keep going. We hold firm to our core values, and we hold firm to our faith in one another. The third reason we know that we can change this world is because of men and women like the young people who are here today. Each time we find ourselves at a crossroads, paralyzed by worn debates and stale thinking, the old ways of doing things. A new generation rises up and shows the way forward. As Robert Kennedy once told a crowd of students in South Africa. It is a revolutionary world that we live in, and thus, it is young people who must take the lead. Because young people are unburdened by the biases or prejudices of the past. That is a great privilege of youth. But it's also a tremendous responsibility because it is you who must. Ultimately decide what we do with this incredible moment in history. We just emerged from an era marked by irresponsibility. And it would be easy to choose the path of selfishness or apathy, of blame or division. But that is a danger that we cannot afford. The challenges are too great. It is a revolutionary world that we live in. And history shows us that we can do improbable, sometimes impossible things. We stand here in a city that used to stand at the center of European conflict. Only now it is the center of European Union. We did that together. Now we must not give up on one another. We must renew this relationship for a new generation, in a new century. We must hold firm to our common values, hold firm to our faith in one another. Together, I'm confident that we can achieve the promise of a new day. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Q&A. Please, everybody have a seat. So the way this works, do we have microphones in the audience? Yes. So just raise your hand if you want a question. and I will call on you. I think we have some. Translators. If you want to speak French and German, my French and German are terrible. But we have people who speak very good French and very good German who will translate your question, and translate my answer. And I will try to get as many questions as I can get in the remaining 20 minutes or so that we have. And I will start with this young lady right here. Yes, you, right there. Please introduce yourself. Hold on, I can't hear you yet. Can we increase the sound on the mic? Let's try again. Oh. I called now, I just want to say I did not call on the American on purpose. Q inaudible. President Obama, well, after only 2 months, that's kind of a big question. But here's what I would like to see. And, look. You aim high knowing that you'll make mistakes and sometimes you'll fall short. Number 1, my first task is to restore the economy of the United States. But, in concert with other nations, to restore global economic growth. That's my number 1 task, because we are going through the worst crisis since the 1930s. That means that not only do we have to fix the banking system, put common sense regulations in place to prevent a crisis like this from ever happening again. Making sure that we are keeping trade relationships between countries open, but it also means helping developing countries and poor countries who through no fault of their own, have been devastated by this crisis. and if we allow them to collapse will ultimately be a drag on our ability to prosper. Emerging markets have actually been the drivers of economic growth over the last several years. If we can get millions of Chinese to prosper, that is ultimately good for us. If we can get all the Indians in poverty to suddenly be able to buy a refrigerator or send their children to college, that will raise everybody's living standards, because those will be enormous new markets for all of us. So what I want to be able to do is not only fix the immediate crisis, but working in partnership with other countries, create a path for sustainable, responsible growth. And I think we can do that. There are a lot of people who benefit from globalization. But there are also people who have been harmed by globalization. Globalization in and of itself can be good, but can also be destructive. If we create the right framework so that what happened in the banking system can't happen again. Then globalization can be good for everybody and lift everybody's living standards up. And by the way, history has shown us that we are most vulnerable. To war and conflict when people are desperate economically. And nobody knows that history more than Europe. So that would be number one. Number two is I would like to be able to say that as a consequence of my work. That we drastically lessen the threat of not only terrorism but also nuclear terrorism. And we can't reduce the threat of a nuclear weapon going off unless those who possess the most nuclear weapons. The United States and Russia take serious steps to actually reduce our stockpiles. So we want to pursue that vigorously in the years ahead. And I had an excellent meeting with President Medvedev of Russia to get started that process of reducing our nuclear stockpiles. Which will then give us greater moral authority to say to Iran, don't develop a nuclear weapon, to say to North Korea, don't proliferate nuclear weapons. In my own country, what I think is very important is that we finally get a healthcare system that is reliable and cost-effective. That's something that you know. That's a social safety net that exists in almost all of Europe that doesn't exist in the United States. You have millions of people who work hard every single day. But if they get sick, they could potentially lose everything. And in a country as wealthy as ours, that's not acceptable to me. So we are going to work hard to make sure that we have a healthcare system that won't be identical to what you have in Europe. Each country has its own traditions and approaches, but that provides people quality, affordable, accessible healthcare. And then, I would like to see us in the United States take the lead on a new approach to energy, because none of the developed countries are going to be able to sustain their growth if we don't start using energy differently. And the world cannot survive all countries using energy in the same ways that we use it. I was meeting with the Indian Prime Minister yesterday after the summit, a very good and wise man. Prime Minister Singh, and he was talking about how Indian growth rates have gone up 9% every year. They need to grow at that pace in order to bring hundreds of millions. of people in their country out of abject poverty, desperate poverty. They have to grow at a rapid pace. Now, he actually is committed to working towards dealing with the climate change issue, but he made a very simple point. Which is a point that I understood before the meeting and all of us should not forget, and that is that you cannot expect poor countries, or relatively poor countries, to be partners with us on climate change if we are not taking the lead. Given that our carbon footprint is many times more than theirs per capita. I mean, each one of us in the developed world, I don't care how environmentally conscious you are. How green you are, I'm sure there are some green folks here. Q yes. President Obama, yes. I don't care how green you are, you have a much bigger carbon footprint than the average Indian. Or the average person from China. And so we in developed countries then. It's critical for us to lead by example by becoming more energy efficient. And we also have to harness technology and shared scientific breakthroughs in order to find more sustainable energy patterns. Now, I've got other things that I want to do, but that's a pretty long list. Let me go on to a few more questions. Alright, now, I know there's some other Americans in the crowd. But do me a favor, Americans, wait till we get back home and I'll do a town hall. There, because I want to hear from my French and German and European friends. Alright. And wait. Wait, this gentleman right here in the glasses.